Welcome to the Aim High broadcast. I am your friend and host, Miss Tammy Walker Jenkins. Welcome. I am so excited that you are going to join me again today. I have a very good hot topic that we will be discussing. Got some great tips, some good instructions. And so this is something that many of us do not want to talk about, but guess what? It is a part of life, and this is something that we need to talk about because we all want to get better in this with this thing. We always want to get better, okay? So, if you are joining me for the first time, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate you from joining me. And for those that has been watching me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate your help and your support. So, anyway, what are we talking about today? And this is a subject that many people do not like to talk about, and it is a subject or a title. I'm not going to say a title. It's always something that many of us do not like to talk about. And what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about financial freedom. We're going to be talking about how we spend and how we use our money. And I believe many of us can do better. This is a new year. And so my goal here on the Aim High broadcast is this is not only going to help me, but this is going to help you. And we want to do better in 2024 because many of you, like myself, have goals, right? We have goals, we have financial goals, and what we want to do is, and guess what? It might not be accomplished in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, but if we continue on striving toward those goals, we will get those goals met. So my first question to you is what does financial freedom look like to you? How do you think that would feel? Have you just thought about it, pondered about it, wrote about it, dreamed about what is financial freedom to you? What does that look like? What does that mean? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about that because for me, when I think of financial freedom, that means I no longer have the worries about not having enough money to pay my bills, to take care of the natural essentials of things that I have to pay for. And then if I decide that I want to get up and I want to go and take a cruise or I want to take a vacation, then I am not necessarily wondering about how I'm going to do it or robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? And so I want to get to the point that, we don't have to be so concerned. But guess what? When it comes down to financial freedom, at the same time, we still want to make sure that we don't overspend. We want to make sure that we have some discipline and we want to make sure that we're always thinking about our future, right? So, what does the financial freedom look like for you? Or what plans that you have in place to get you and your family to that financial freedom? And when I think about you and your family, because guess what? You could be single, and just because you're not married, is still you want to be financial freedom, right? You want to have that financial freedom. And many times, and I'm going to talk because I have been single and now I'm married. And there's a time that sometimes as single people, we think that we have to wait until we get a spouse to experience and have financial freedom. No, ma'am, you do not. This is something personal. This is something that you want to do and you can accomplish and have financial freedom as a single person. Because guess what? When you marry, you might have more responsibilities. But even if you marry, guess what? That should still be a goal for you personally, and there should be a goal for you in your marriage that you want to have financial freedom. So this is what happened today at work. Me and my coworkers, we was talking about finances and talking about, sometimes when you need more finances, what is the first thing that many people decide that they have to do? They need to go find another job. And so when you work in an 8 hour, 10 hour, 12 hour shift, then you have to go and find another job. And then you work in another either 4 to 8 hours, and you spending all your time working because you're trying to get out of debt. Because guess what? Our debt have reached over our head. Our debt is so great that our regular job cannot take care of those expenses. And so what we do is we begin to chase that dollar, right? Have you been there? You begin to chase the dollar because you was like, I need that extra $200. I need an extra $300 because it's going to end up giving me that little cushion. But you end up finding yourself working and working, and then once you get that second job, and you get that second job because you're like, I'm going to pay my bills. I want to make sure that I have enough money to go shopping or to eat, pay for my insurance. And mostly times we do that, but we still overspend, especially when you're not disciplined. So we want to talk about that, financial freedom. The first thing I want to say is that when it comes to financial freedom, is that we have to have a plan. We have to generate a plan. Now, when we generate a plan for the financial freedom, it might necessarily be so easy, but it has to take time. And I'm going to tell you some things that I personally did for me to help me, and things that I'm doing right now. And guess what? It's always a learning process, and it might be something that you always might have to tweak here and there so it can work for whatever going on in your life. Okay, so make sure that when you join me as well, and we're talking about financial freedom, talk to me. Let me know, what are you doing to get financial freedom? And even if you have financial freedom, how did you get there? And because that what we want to do is, other people reading your comment could help other people do the same thing. So definitely make sure in the comment, let us know, what did you do to get financial freedom, or let us know, what are you doing to obtain that financial freedom. Okay, so we was talking about, even with financial freedom, is that we have to have a plan. And to have that plan is, we got to have a realistic plan. We want a plan that works for us, because many times people would tell you, financial counselors and other people saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. You need to make sure that if you need to get professional help, definitely get that. But 9 out of 10, you are able to come in and you know how you got where you at, and you should know how to be able to dig yourself out. You know, sometimes we put ourselves in that little foxhole, and you just got to dig your way out of it. Right? You have to come up with a plan and an action. So that's what we want to do, is come up with a plan and action today doing this here broadcast on how to get financial freedom. Okay, so excuse me. So one of the things that I talked about, and I want to talk about, is how do you tackle your debt for 2024? That is something that I want to encourage everybody to do, is get a tablet, get something to say, hey, I want to tackle my debt in 2024. You don't want to keep piling up debt in 2024. It is a time that we get closer to that financial freedom. But guess what? It's going to take us, it's going to take a commitment, it's going to take our desire, it's going to take our willingness, it's going to take our determination, it's going to take us being strong, making better choices in order to get to that financial freedom. So it's just like, we don't get in debt overnight. Sometimes it's months and years, and then we up to our neck, we above our head, and then we're trying to figure out what we need to do. Well, guess what? In this year, we need to figure it out, and we have to do what we have to do to get that off of our shoulder, get it behind us, so we can be able to go forward and have this freedom. Because one thing is that I know that it is not God's will that you spend your whole life in bondage, struggling, in stress. Okay, so anyway, so what are you doing to pursue financial freedom, because what we do want to do is we want to become more responsible, right? And I have been there where I have not been responsible. But oh, glory, through trials and tribulation and just the school of hard knocks, I am getting it together. And I can say I am so grateful that God has been good and I didn't have support, that now I am on the right path of that financial freedom. And then I have that what we call that rigor room, right? We able to move around a little bit without being under that heavy burden. So these are the three questions that I want to ask you today. Okay, the first thing is, what does it mean to be financial responsible? What does that mean to you? Only you can answer that question. What does it mean for you to be a responsible, financially responsible? Okay. Number two is, how do you restart to become financial freedom? How do you do that? Sometimes we don't know how to get out of what we put ourselves in. So that's why coming up with a plan will help you, is because how can I restart to live this life of financial freedom? Well, today, broadcast, we're going to talk about some things that you can do. And then I always say, hey, sit down in your quiet place and you pray and say, Lord, help me. How can I get out this situation? Maybe I need to contact my creditors and see, can they work with me? If I give an extra couple of dollars a month, there's always a way, and we're going to talk about that as well. And then the third thing is, in order to get financial freedom, is we must be honest with ourselves and say, why am I struggling? Why am I struggling? Why am I struggling with my money? What am I doing with my money? What I need to be doing with my money? Because sometimes we can be our worst enemy. Ouch and amen. Sometimes we can be our worst enemy that's causing us to struggle when we don't have to, but it's because we are not being responsible with the money that we are receiving. Okay. So that's one of the things I want to do. And then another thing is, many times is that we fall short of our financial goals because of us. It's because the things that we are doing. We might know that we can save money if we stop eating out all the time. Okay, some people go out to eat all the time. That used to be me. I used to do fine dining at least about 3 or 4 times a week. Fine dining. Me and my son always going to nice restaurant, end up spending anywhere between 50, 60, $80 just eating out, because you know what? I wasn't a cook, didn't desire to cook. I had a good job making good money. I was single. I was living this high bougie lifestyle. And so guess what? That's what we did. But at the same time, I wasn't responsible in saving money, because we was eating out and we was shopping. We was getting anything that my son wanted, he was getting. But that wasn't being responsible, because then I still had other bills that should have been paid. So that's what we want to talk about, is sometimes we fall short because of ourselves. And so what we want to do in 2024 is, we don't want to fall short anymore of our financial responsibility, because we want to become financial responsible so we can have that financial freedom, right? And so the other thing is, let's go into this here, is I want to talk about what are some of the common reasons that we don't have financial freedom, or why we still struggling with our money. And one of the things is that I want to say, and this is what I guess was close to my heart, is, first of all, many of us do not have the understanding or the financial knowledge about how to manage money. Have you been there? You have money in your hand and you're just not financial knowledgeable of how to handle your money. Okay. And so that's one of the things that I learned, is that I had to understand the principle of money. I had to understand, when I get money, there are certain things that I need to do, certain things that I should not do. Okay. And so we have to become knowledgeable of how to handle our money that we're given. Okay. Now, the other thing is that I had to learn is how to stop making bad decisions with my money. Like I said, when I was single, I was young, I have my son. So the bad decision was always shopping, going out to eat, buy him all kinds of little hell hand games, video games. I'm in a mall in Louisiana. I'm in Cantana Mall. This living this lavish life, going out to eat, but was making poor decision that was not helping me because I was living for right now. I wasn't thinking about for my future. So those are bad decisions. And sometimes we're in that financial struggle because we constantly is making those bad decisions and how to handle money. And the third thing is this, just not saving, spending every nickel and dime that we have, never thinking about the future, never saving money. And so these are some of the reasons why we don't today have financial freedom, or maybe we still struggling with our money because we're not saving. We're making poor decision, and we don't have the financial knowledge or understanding of how we need to handle our money. But guess what? After today, we are going to learn how to do better, how to be better money management, how to think about our future, how to make better decisions with the money that we have and the money that might come, right? Because why shall you pray, or why shall God give us more money and we still don't have good principle on how to handle the money? Because the only thing we're going to do is keep spending, keep making bad decisions our future. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Is we don't want to struggle. Tell yourself, I don't want to struggle no more with finances, with money, because my desire is I want some financial freedom. Does that mean that you're not going to have a bill? You might have a bill, you might not have a bill, but you're not going to be weighed down, right? You're not going to be weighed down and burdened on how you going to hear your card, know your insurance, your light bill, your mortgage, your taxes. You have children in school, you have personal life, you have to make groceries and all the things. You don't want to constantly be weighed down with that in 2024, because guess what? We've been weighed down with this long enough in our life. So now it's time for us to step up. We at the beginning of another year. We're only in the second month of 2024. And why not now take the time to stop and say, hey, I need to get it together, because single, or married, divorced, I have to get to the point that I take control of my finances so I can have that financial freedom, and I can get all the heaviness and the weight of struggle off of me, right? And that's why some of us not sleeping at night, because we up worrying all night about how we gonna pay a bill, or why we don't have money when we have already wasted it, right? Because when you go to those grocery stores, you go out to eat, and you spending your money and doing things, they can't give you no money when it come time for you to take care of your responsibility. You can't go back to those restaurants and to those supermarkets and to the mall and all these places, and to the salon and getting your pedicures and your spa treatment. They not worrying about the responsibility that you have. So that's why you have to be responsible for it. Okay. Now, I can tell you, like I said, some of my personal challenges, and this is when I was single. Me and my son, some of my personal challenges is with shopping. Okay, spending too much money going to the salon. I had to keep the nails together, I had to do the manicure, I had to do the pedicure, I had to do the spa treatment. Buying a new expensive car that I knew that I couldn't afford, but I knew that I had the credit to get a car. So then I have a high expensive car. No, I got high insurance. And all of those was bad choices. Now, even though we say we need the thing, yeah, I need a transportation, but did I need a sports car? No, I didn't need a sports car, but guess what? I ended up getting one anyway. And so The other thing is once we get into debt, okay, and we start getting all these loans, we're going to talk about getting all these little payday loans and getting loans from all the creditors. Also, a bad decision because guess what? Because of the interest rate is high, you're almost paying double than what you're borrowing. And then when it get time to pay it back, I'm not answering your calls. I'm not answering your emails. I'm just avoiding you at all, putting you on block, making bad decisions that even once you start doing that, because what those creditors would do is, okay, I have faith in you that I lent you this money, and now I lent you this money. Now you're not returning my call. You're not making your first payment, your second payment. And then if you're making a payment, you're making a half a payment. I'm just telling you that I have been there. I have been there, made all kinds of bad decisions. And before you realize, you know that you have to have some type of job to even get a loan. And so now you go through the process of now you're going to get garnishment, and then it taking 25% of that. Bad decisions that keeps you in that bondage. It keep you way down. And guess what? If you ever been through the time where they garnish your check, you can't fight that. The courts then already checked off on it. Your employer already checked off on it. And now all of a sudden, every 2 weeks, you are getting garnished that 25% to pay that loan off, plus interest, plus cost of court. That is a financial struggle because we make poor decisions and we're not responsible for our money because we don't have money management skills. And then we just realize that we just live a careless life and we don't care. But in the long run, it's not hurting anybody but us. And then we're not going to even talk about hurting your credit. Because when you don't pay those lenders back, they are reporting to your credit all the time. And then all of a sudden your credit score start coming down because guess what? You're not financially responsible for making those bad decisions. And they keep you under that stress, keep you under that bondage. But oh glory, what we're going to do in 2024, we are going to do better. And we're going to start taking step by step, day by day, month by month. And we're going to get better when it comes down to how we handle our finances. Okay. Now, also, what are some of the things that we do when we overspend? Um, when it comes down to our money, some of the thing is we overspend because we don't want to live on a budget. I have learned living on a budget is okay. Living on a budget is okay because that is part of that planning process. In order to get that financial freedom, you have to have a plan. There are certain things, certain behaviors that you're just going to have to stop doing. Okay. So, back then that when I was single, no, back then when I was married, went through a divorce, went through a separation first before I got a divorce, right? So during that separation, it was hard because guess what? All of a sudden I walked away from someone that was a provider that was giving me anything and everything I need, but because of the relationship was a unhealthy relationship, that it was for the best interest for me to lead to protect my children and to protect myself. But then on the flip side of it is, when you have someone that's always been a provider, they family been a provider, and then when you walk away, then all of a sudden you have nothing. Have you been there that you have anything? I call it in the book of Genesis, talk about in the Old Testament, talk about a place called Lodabar. That is the lowest place that I ever been in my life. That when you way at top, you way at the top, and all of a sudden you way at the bottom, and you don't have no job, you have no money, you have no nothing, because everything is just taken from you. You've been stripped from everything. How do you make it? And I'm thinking, how can I make it? So one of the things that I had to do is being a separated. I was separated from my marriage. So you know what? I had to go and find a job. Then I had to think I needed to go and I needed to get a car. So how I'm going to do that? So guess what? I started walking. As I walk down the street, as I go places and I see nickels and dimes and pennies at the grocery stores and gas stations or whatever, it can be at work. People get the nickels, dimes, and quarters and they don't want it. But guess what? That penny was valuable to me. Those nickels and dimes were valuable to me. So I end up getting a little jar. And as I saw pennies and nickels and dimes all on the floors on the street, I began to pick them up because I know that if I pick up one penny and then I save 10, I got 10 cents. And then if I keep picking up pennies and nickels and dimes, I'm going to leave from coin to then I could start having dollars. Well, I did that a long time until I was able to come up with $25 to go open up my first savings account at Campus Federal. I did that because when people did not value those pennies, nickels, and dimes, I valued them. And that's when it started turning in my mind is that I have to be responsible because if I can save $25 to get a checking account, then I need to be able to save at least $1,000 so I can use as a down payment so I can go get a car for me and my children. It took me 1 year, but it took a plan and a discipline. And so when I did get a job, my plan was I can't go out to eat. I'm not spending on no fast food. I am going to take my lunch from home. If I did not have any food at home, I'll work a whole 8 hours and don't eat. So when I got my check had to go into my checking account because I knew that I had a time frame. So even when you make your financial plan, you have to have a plan on if you wanted to save your $100, how much or how can you save every week or every 2 weeks or a month to make sure you get to that $100. And these are plans that you have to do in order to get to that financial freedom is you have to plan and you have to commit to it. It's just like you breathe in life. These are things that you must do. So I did it for 1 whole year and I finally was able to save $1,000 so I can use it as a down payment on a car. And I believe God that my credit didn't get that bad that I was able to get finance because I kept on saying I have to do better. But it was a struggle. It was not easy. But guess what? I made it happen. Okay. So the other thing is when it comes down to us having those struggles, when it comes down to our finance, is that we borrowing money that we should not borrow. We keep going to payday loans. We keep going and borrowing loans from lenders. Buying a new car that's too expensive that we should not be. We don't need that expensive car. We need a car that we can afford and have a decent note, paying for high insurance due to age or tickets. The other thing I have again, I have living from paycheck to paycheck because if you are living from paycheck to paycheck, it can be a long week or it can be a long 2 weeks, right? And then the other thing is that we're not saving. We're not saving any money, or when you do save, the next thing you do, you go back and get it. Ouch and amen. You save $50, you save $100, and then you go back and get it. Okay. And so these are things that keep you under that financial struggle. And then I also put not having a plan. We don't have plan and system in place of how we're going to get out of debt. So even me is I did not have a plan for many, many, many years. Like I say, I avoided phone calls, emails. I blocked my lenders. I wasn't calling them. And my thing is, without having a plan, you would stay in that financial struggle. But we want to give some financial freedom. We want to grow up and be mature because what's going to happen is that if you don't, then if you have children, you're going to teach the same behaviors to your children. Right. And then you want to be a dog that you be in a position that you want to help your children. But most of all, before you want to help your children, you want to help you. You want to help yourself, okay? And these are things that I had to do is to become responsible. And even when I got remarried, thank God that God gave me a wonderful husband that is disciplined, that have helped me to mature in how I handle my money. So sometimes you can have a family member, you can have a spouse, you can have a wife, you can have a best friend. You need to have someone that's in your life to help you. It can be a pastor, someone that is accountable, that can make you accountable and say, this is not how you pay your bills. These are things that you need to do, because what's going to happen is there's going to come a time that you're going to be by yourself, and you have to start making these decisions that is best for you. You have to make the decision that I'm no longer going to go and spend money on breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe I need to meal prep. Maybe I need to cook at home. Maybe I need to take my lunch, my breakfast, and my lunch to work, and then I eat at home. These are plans that you have to make. No, I can't go out with my girlfriends. No, I'm not going shopping. No, I'm not going to the hair salon every day and getting the manicures and the pedicures and the different things. No, I'm not going to. I have enough clothes. No, I'm not going to go shop. I have enough clothes for a whole year. So maybe I'm not, I just got to be content with what I have. And then I just need to kind of switch my shirts and my pants around, switch my shoes around. But you have to have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, you're going to stay in that financial struggle. Man, what we're trying to do is get to the place of financial freedom. Okay. Now, some of the things that you can do to cut some of your expenses is, first of all, taking control of your credit cards, paying your credit cards on time, getting those, stop using your credit cards. If it's not of an emergency, then stop using. I used to have a credit card that I decided if I want to go get a sneaker bar, potato chips, I'm gonna use a credit card. Okay. I'm gonna use a credit card because I just see that, I want some new shoes, I need some new high heels, anything like that. So you want to be careful on how you use your credit cards. And the other thing is not to max them out. Oh, glory. Once you max them out, it takes forever for you to get the pay it down. So be mindful of your credit card usage. Then you want to make sure that you write down all of your debts. Write down all of your debts, all of your loans. That is something that I started in 2022 and 23. Now we're in 24, and I can tell you that I got 3 loans paid out, got 2 more to go. But you need to tackle your debt, and you need to write them down. I'll write them down from the highest amount to the lowest amount, or do your lowest amount to your highest amount. And then this is how I'm going to pay them out. I'm going to pay them in the stages: one, two, three, four. And that can help you tackle your debt and to eliminate your debt. Then we talked about having a budget, having a budget. You have to have a budget. And that budget, on if you decided that, of course, you do want to treat yourself, you can say only once a week, every 2 weeks, I am going to go and treat myself. I'm going to do something for me. Maybe I'm going to go buy me an outfit. I'm going to go to the store. I'm not going to spend, my budget is $40 or $50. And I'm going to go treat myself every 2 weeks or once a month. $50, go buy me a new outfit. I'm going to get my hair did. Um, be responsible, and I'm going to save a certain amount of money this month into my savings account. That's not with my checking account. Now I'm going towards my bills. So you do need to make sure you made a budget and you stick to it, and just be responsible. Okay. The other thing is building the emergency fund. This is something I grew up. My pastors always say you need an emergency fund for at least $1,000. So then I'm like, is that personal savings and emergency savings the same thing? He said, no. Emergency is always $1,000 that you have on the side that you never touch. So if there is a crisis or something happen, you do have at least $1,000 to move around. So I want to encourage you, if that you do not have the emergency fund, is to work on building that in 2024. Get your emergency fund, and then you have your nice little savings on the side Well, if you can just save five, I don't care if you can save $5 every pay period, get that 5, 10, 20, or however much you, and put that in your savings, but also you need to have your emergency fund as well. And that's going to help you prepare for all those unforeseen circumstances that does happen. Like one day you just driving and you get a flat in your car, you need it, right? You need an oil change, you need something, or your kid's sick, or your child calling and say, hey, they short on their money, that you can have some money in your savings that you can help them. Okay. Now, another thing, what we want to do is in a discussion that I was having with some ladies at work, is that you want to begin to have, if you single or you are married, you want to have a budget for your family, right? You need to have a budget on what is your income and expenses, making sure you have enough money to meet those expenses, and then have a budget set on the side for, guess what, if you and your spouse decide y'all want to go out this weekend, y'all want to plan for vacation, you want to go somewhere, come out and have a family budget. Okay. The other thing is you want to be a good steward of your money. You want to be responsible of your money. God have blessed you with a car. There's so many scriptures. We're not going to even go biblical or what God say about money, but we need to be good stewards over our money, which means we have to be responsible. If you want to get to that financial freedom and get away from the burden of the stress, is that you have to be responsible of how you spend and use your money. And for some of you, is you have to stop always lending your money to people that don't pay you back. It could be family member, it could be children. Sometimes you just do not have money that you can lend to other people, because if you keep lending your money out to people, how you ever going to get to that financial freedom? The goal is to get to that financial freedom, get from up under all the burden and the weight and the responsibilities of things that we did to make a bad decision. We want to focus on debt elimination in 2024. Debt elimination and saving some money and having an emergency plan and having a plan for your family. You got to have these things in place. Now, does it happen overnight? Absolutely not. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And I personally had to realize that I could not have my savings and my checking together, because what I was doing majority of the time, transferring from my checking to my saving to my checking, transferring, transferring money within the system. And in 2023, I was praying and asking, Lord, what is I got to get this together? I'm doing better in this area, but how can I get better in this area? And Lord said, well, first of all, you just need to separate your money. You need to have your savings over here in a bank that you don't go. And guess what? You don't even maybe even need a card. But I went on and got a card because you never know. But guess what? This here is I commit that I don't really use, at least it's an emergency. But I'm going to have my checking account where I have all my bills at. I have a checking account, and then I have my saving account right there. So I do have a couple of dollars going to that savings account. My checking account is the net from my check, but then I have that savings on here, which I consider is my emergency fund, right? And guess what? It's working out beautifully. I'm starting to see I can breathe a little bit more. I'm starting to see the financial freedom, but I'm working consistently on it. I take my breakfast to work. I take my breakfast, I take my lunch. Or if I do need something to eat at lunch, it's something very light. I can get me a sandwich. I can go to Panera Bread. I can go to Subway, get something for under $5, something just to take the edge off of me. And then I'll wait until I go home and I know my husband got a nice meal prepared, or we cook something from home. And I learned not going to breakfast every morning and spending on lunchtime was saving me at least $50 to $60 a week. Can you imagine that $50, $60 into your saving account or your emergency fund, or that $50, $60 going towards your debt to get you with that debt elimination so you can start experiencing some financial freedom? So we have to start thinking in that way and not thinking about what we want naturally, how we feel, but think about your future. Think about being able not to have the stress and the worry about you lacking, that you always waiting on the next payday, that you don't never have enough money. Okay, so these are things that we want to do. The other thing is when it comes down to financial, becoming financial freedom, making a plan, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Don't over stress it. Don't make it so hard. Don't think that it's going to get done, like I said, in days, weeks, or months. I've been doing this from 2022. This is 2024, 2 years later, and it's paying off because I've been consistent. I've been consistent, and I can say now, God, is because you gave me a plan and I dedicated to it, a purpose in my life, that I am going to get rid of these debt. I'm going to make better decisions for me and for my family and for my future. And it's working. It is working. And I can see it's good to log in into your account and you see you got a little cash. You have your little money set aside, and then you see your bills being paid. Then you get those emails that your credit score gone up. That is becoming financial freedom. It's doing your homework and being committed and had a desire to. But if you don't see yourself coming out of it, you don't see yourself planning, and you don't see yourself improving with your money, keep making bad decisions, then if you're comfortable in staying in debt and that struggle, then that's a you. But at some point that we all have to grow up and take responsibilities, and let's deal with our mistakes. Let's deal with our issues. Don't let your past stay in your future. And then we want to stop having those bad habits, because to be financial freedom is so much better than being in debt and worrying, and then get a check and you still don't have enough money. And so when you get paid, all your money gone, and then you still what? You still stressed because you're paying too many people. So why not go ahead, go through that system, go to that process, that maybe I don't have the extra to splurge, to go out to do that. That's okay, because you have a greater plan for yourself financially. Okay. So when it comes to the plan, keep it simple. Remember that your budget is very critical to what you're trying to accomplish. And make sure that you keep track of your expenses, how you spend your money, what's coming in, what's going out. Do those meal preps. Stay committed to your planning, your goal. Spend less so you can have more. Spend less so you can have more. And then I said, make sure you save. Make sure you be wise. Make sure that if you single, remember that you still can have financial freedom. If you marry, you can have financial freedom. And then sometimes you need to have a family budget. Do not forget about the emergency fund. Make sure you pay off your debt time, one one at a time. Pay them debts out. Focus on one. Focus on one. Even though I had a situation, I had to pay two. I said, look, right now I don't have it. But if you give me grace. Give me grace for like 4 weeks or next month. Then I can start making a $10 or $20 payment, because I knew I was going to be finished with that. And the creditor said, absolutely no problem. Okay. And then also the best thing is you want to prepare for your future or your retirement, right? Because you don't want to work your whole life and then you still don't have no money saved, and you still have a financial struggle because you have not experienced this financial freedom, because you didn't plan for it, you didn't prepare for it. I hope I said something great to you on the Aim High broadcast today to help you and to help myself become financial freedom. And I know that we can. I know that you will. And God bless you. Take care.